Hello. Welcome, everybody. I am joined today by a wonderful group of people. We're going to talk about how we feel about the state of video games so far this year and all the conferences now that they are largely done. If you don't recognize any of these beautiful faces, next to me, oh, I did it right, is Jake from GamerRanks. Below me is Ralph, who you might know as SkillUp. And then we've got YongYea over the side here with that beautiful background. I feel like you guys outclassed me every step of the way in this situation. It's got a green screen. It's not great. So I wanted to ask you guys a question, and we'll just start. I guess, Jake, you can answer first if you want. How did you feel about this year's conferences? Obviously, it's another weird year for publishers to figure out how to approach having their conferences, and it's almost difficult in some cases, I think, to even give a certain amount of news when stuff has been slowed down due to the pandemic. So how did you feel coming out of this year's E3 and GamesCom?
I felt really overwhelmed, but also like I felt like it was like, okay, it's my job to help like disseminate this info and cut through and, inform people. But there was a lot towards the back end. I feel like Gamescom was a lot more overwhelming in terms of games. Maybe it's more indie games that excited me, but I feel like it was way more going on for Gamescom. And then like it was like last month we had EA Play, which we were going to meet up and talk about, and that didn't work out. Right. But there wasn't really too much to talk about anyway, right? And then E3 was all over the place.
Yeah.
That's fair. Ralph, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this year obviously it almost feels like the games industry's not taking a year off, but it's just kind of like doing its thing to get through as best it can, because obviously COVID's knocked everyone on their ass. And so many big releases have been delayed. And so I really liked what we saw this year because it's like, as in at these shows, because it's like, cool, there's a lot to look forward to in the future. Right now, not so much, but sit tight and there's lots of cool stuff coming. Do you know what I mean? So I like that. And I think as well, in general, there's more space for indies to do well at the moment because AAA has really kind of like vacated the field. And I have really loved that about this year. And that's been reflective in like releases, but also in those shows as well, where I think a lot of indie devs, a lot of indie products got sort of surfaced that otherwise wouldn't have, and I always love that stuff.
Death's Door is for sure my game of the year so far.
Which one?
And I feel like Death's Door.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, sure.
I absolutely love it. And I feel like that is a game that probably not as many people on my Twitter timeline would have touched.
Absolutely.
If there weren't kind of a lull. Though that said, I don't know if you guys have been playing Deathloop.
No.
Not recently, no.
Okay. I'm playing it, and it's very good. That's obviously coming out next month, and then Psychonauts 2 as well. I feel like the last 2 weeks I've been like, damn, what the hell is all of this like fantastic video gaming that's coming my way? It's been really good. But Young, how did you feel about the state of the conferences?
For my part, as far as Gamescom goes, it felt very middle of the road. They had it kicked off strong with Saints Row. Obviously, everyone's been waiting for it to come back, and so to see some trailer for it was really neat. I know there's some discourse surrounding its direction. A lot of people don't enjoy aspects of the protagonist and miss the more gangster style of protagonist that they went for with the previous games. I'm waiting and seeing. I feel like I need to see more gameplay before I can really gauge.
I saw how many dislikes that trailer has.
Yeah, the fans.
I feel
the comments are funny though.
There
are a lot of good burns in there.
Funny? Like what good burns?
There's like these protagonists look like they all drink a Starbucks. Like it's just like really all these like hipster puns.
Yeah.
But because I feel like Saints Row 3, or maybe it's 4 that I'm thinking of. It is 4. Is very like flashy and colorful, and it just seemed I wasn't expecting that reaction at all. Like it's not like it's GTA. Never has been.
No.
Yeah.
Except for the first one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just mainly the protagonist and that hippie vibe that they give off is like kind of what people are rallying against. But I'm in wait and see mode.
It feels pitched very young, and I feel like the Saints Row audience is getting older. And so I feel like that kind of art style, which everyone's like, oh, it looks like Fortnite. And it's like, well, yeah, I think it kind of does. And I think that as they're rebooting it, they're trying to target a younger audience. I mean, I didn't love the tone when I saw it. I actually saw behind the scenes gameplay as well, and it looks fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like the look of it. There's all these other mechanics that you're going to be able to engage with, like building your criminal empire and real estate management and all that shit. Like,
Love that shit.
Yeah. I like that as well. It looks good. And certainly as I saw the action unfolding, I was like, yeah, this looks crisp and fun and over the top, but good. But yeah, even I was like, this tone, I don't know about this one. I was definitely because I saw it before it was revealed, and I was like, oof, I wonder how this is going to go. Like, I knew how it was going to go actually, and sure enough, yeah, it all went down that way. So
I actually have not watched the trailer. I could. I've only seen screenshots next to the comments that I did find very funny.
I don't know. One of the lines that a lot of people keep coming back to is like when at the end she says, "Stay away from my fucking friends" or something like that, where it sounds very like, the power of friendship.
Words.
And it's very like, there's some swear words here and there.
But there's gonna be an anime theme song at the end.
The only thing I'm struggling with is like I played all of them like from day one, and 2 got pretty goofy, and then 3 obviously went insane. And maybe it was just the way I played the game. Maybe it's because everybody makes their own character and they have like a different experience with it. Yeah. But I always made the most idiot clown I could. And I never felt like the game was like overly gang or macho or feminine. Like it was just kind of this weird clown show. And this just looks like more clown show, which is okay for me.
Yeah.
And there's an aspect of Saints Row. I don't think it's necessarily the best selling of franchises, and they're just trying to mix things up a bit to try to appeal to a bigger audience perhaps, and just mixing things up a bit to just rekindle the series a little bit. I feel like I don't know if you guys have the sales stats for that, but from what I've seen and heard, it's not necessarily
I don't feel like a lot of people played Get Out of Hell, which if I'm correct is their last release.
Which
feels like it was ages ago.
Yeah. It's been a while since an actual Saints Row game, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's been.
It's still Deep Silver, right?
Yeah, it is Deep Silver.
Yes.
Coalition is developing.
What have they been up to?
I'm
not sure what.
They did Agents of Mayhem, which that's the only thing that makes me kind of worried about this game. Yeah, because I didn't like that. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what the criticisms to do with this trailer are. Like, I'm watching it on silent, and I can see it, but
but
I feel like I feel the same way as you, Young, where I'm like, I'm always gonna wait and see.
Yeah, exactly. They did have a follow-up video where the devs mixed in some of their own commentary with a bit of gameplay, and they actually explained what the direction of this game was. I thought that was a much better video.
Yeah,
I felt like they should have led with that, and maybe it could have been people have been a little more open-minded about it. But it kicked off with that, and then it ended with Death Stranding's director's cut, which I thought there was going to be that one more thing, and it was like it's a game that we've already played, but the new content looks great. Not gonna lie,
it's a really interesting one because they've changed so much, right? So like there were things that I really liked about Death Stranding and things that I didn't like, which I feel like most people would probably say.
Sure.
And they changed so much of that core experience of being your postman self, walking along a whole struggle of walking along a very large open world trying to deliver mail. And it seems like it's so much easier that I'm like, this particular director's cut, as in comparison to Ghost of Tsushima, feels like they've really changed the game. And I'm so curious to see what Kojima has to say about it, because I haven't seen any interviews unless I've missed one. I know that originally he didn't like calling it a director's cut, and is it actually a director's cut? Are these changes that Kojima wanted to make, or is it like, well, let's get rid of the stuff people didn't like? Like, how are these actually being made if they're gonna head in this direction? I'm very curious.
For me, I think it depends on when those new elements are introduced. Like, there's the catapult building that allows you to shoot your package across the map in a safe way. There's a jetpack of some sort, or a hover pack.
Would have lived for that.
Dude, when they showed
amazing.
When they showed that, I felt like a gamer dad for the first time, because I saw that and I was like, I don't want first time players to have that. That's too easy. I don't want them to have that. I had to trek a mile.
You don't know what I went through. Right? Yeah. Real gamer hours.
So it'll depend on when that stuff's introduced. If those things feel like late game items, or should be placed in the late game just for consistency of pacing and experience, but I'm
But it
excited
also
for the
will make the game a lot more accessible. I think a lot more people
Maybe.
will like it.
maybe exactly.
If it has those changes. I'm so surprised that it is that different rather than just having like 20 hours of more cutscenes.
Right, right. Now they are adding new missions and stuff as well, like more Metal Gear looking stealth segments,
Yeah.
some VR shooting range stuff, race cards for some reason, which I'm down for. Why I don't
yeah.
know, but sure. I don't know. It's interesting.
I want to shoot more dudes with piss bullets. So like
Yeah.
hopefully they have more
And
shooting
grenades.
encounters.
Poop
Right.
grenades.
Always.
Yeah.
What a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
God
a
bless
video game.
Kojima, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, that it was a
definitely.
really interesting ending choice, and I feel like I was surprised to not see more of Elden Ring as well. Though it seems now that some people had behind closed doors. Did any of you guys get to do that?
Not me. It was
No, but today I
Steam
did. I
for
went through all the
1990.
information. And
What's new? Tell us.
so it's a big old map. You can actually have a map. You can access a map, which is big.
Yeah.
For their games.
That's interesting.
Twin blades are confirmed. That's like a Souls thing, which is cool to have back. They showed off like 2 different builds, like a melee build and like a magic build. They explained how dungeons work in terms of the overworld and how certain dungeons will essentially progress a story and other ones are just more organic and you discover them. I couldn't really tell the significance of that and like From Software's spin on it, like from the reporting. It might be a little early, but it's just little things like that. And then they put out those screenshots where I actually like it's been a long time since I've seen just straight screenshots and I like stop and look at them for like a minute
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
those screenshots are incredible.
Yeah.
The
The art
character
design
design
is always next level.
they're so
ridiculous.
good at
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to make friends with all of these things that are gonna murder me.
Yeah, those
so
screenshots.
good.
I mean, you look at the like the textures and whatever you might think. I mean, sure, it looks a little more last gen than current gen or whatever, but like just the art style and design and the imagery that they evoke, that's what people care about. And on that front, people are all in on this, from what I can see.
Yeah, consistent style. Though compared to Demon Souls, it really does look like outdated, which is very
Sure.
surprising. But I feel like Demon Souls is still probably the prettiest game that I played
Yeah.
this generation.
Demon Souls
Ratchet
was
Clank's up there
made
too.
by Blueprint specifically for PS5, whereas Elden Ring, I think, it's been in development
Yeah.
for so long, so it was probably going to be a last gen
true.
release, which is probably why
Have they
that
said if it
discrepancy.
is still coming out on both, or is it? Do we know
Elden Ring?
what platforms it's releasing?
It is coming out on last gen consoles as well as current gen,
There
at
you
the
go.
very least taking advantage of the backwards compatibility is. But I
Yeah.
know it is coming out on last gen consoles.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I just looked up Elden Ring, and the headlines are the most video gamey headlines of all time. Which I worked in games media
Sure.
for 9 years. I've done this. Okay, Elden Ring might be From Software's Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
Here
there
we
we
go.
go.
Is
There
that
you
a
go.
game rant? Is that a game
Straight
rant article?
away,
Is that game rant?
it is Polygon.
Oh,
But
okay.
somebody had to do it, and I'm sure
That's-
multiple of them have. But like they're like,
love
it's
it.
an open world. Breath of the
of the
Wild.
Wild.
You're like, all right, it makes sense. But I wonder, you mentioned it there being a map that you can actually access. That's such a game changer. If
Yeah.
it's coherent, like I almost don't trust them to make a map that I can perfectly navigate, because I remember when I first tried to play Demon Souls way back when it came out, and I had to give up when I got to the Nexus because I was like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I just had no concept of what I was supposed to do. So it wasn't actually the combat that put me off. It was the traversal. It was trying to figure out where I had to go next. I don't trust that if they give me a map that it will have waypoints, or did anyone say anything about there being waypoints?
I think it was Eurogamer. They said that the map is actually like in the style of like it's like it was drawn by someone in the universe. So that sounds to me like it's going to be a goddamn mess.
Okay.
Which is
I
fine,
feel
I
a little
guess.
bit better about that.
Yeah.
Very surprising. But yeah, it was interesting that we didn't get more from Elden Ring, but
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah, I don't know.
they've locked in that Game Awards exclusive.
Yeah.
Gotta
They
piece
won,
it out
they won
everywhere
that
else.
award. They won that
They
GamesCom
did
award. Best
win
PlayStation
an award.
game for 2021, even though it's not out in 2021.
Yep.
And it's not out
How
yet,
can
full
you
stop.
buy?
It still won an award, so that's good. Congratulations, FromSoft.
Yeah. I saw Jeff tweet that was not anything to do with him. That was a Gamescom specific decision.
Okay.
That's so good.
I can't make sense of it.
I would- if I
And
was
the way
Jeff-
they did some of them was really awkward. It was
Yeah.
a very weird choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because their choice of award was best game of 2001, not most anticipated, not best trailer or something. It was just like, this is the best
Best
game.
PlayStation game.
How do we know this?
Like, wait
No
a
one
minute.
has played it. Best game. No one has played
And
it.
also, ouch.
Yeah.
What about all the other video games? Damn, that are coming out
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Hell of an ouch. But yeah, that was strange. I was gonna tweet it, and I decided against it because I wasn't positive, but I was so sure they weren't going to be ready to announce the release date for Halo. I was like, the reason they didn't do it is that they don't have it yet. It was like they're worried it's going to
Me
push
too.
again. They don't know when it is, and then I got it the day after. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't tweet that.
I want to talk
Very
about that.
upset with me.
Yeah,
Did
sure.
You can
did
talk about it. Go ahead.
So did that release date announcement seem very like quiet? I don't want to like tinfoil hat, but they kind of just like, yeah, it's coming. Like they didn't announce it at a thing. They didn't put out a big thing. It just kind of like leaked the day before, and then it was just announced in a blog post, I think. I don't know. I expected
Yeah,
like a
some-
little more from Halo.
I
I don't know if that
Yes.
means anything.
How recently they finalized that release date. It feels like it's kind of recent,
True.
but I don't know.
It's so hard to say, especially when that is that far away. I guess it is almost September. Where did this year go?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
thinking about that coming out in December, I'm just really surprised. I expected with the kind of development hell that it seems like they've been in and all of the changeover that we wouldn't have gotten a release date for Halo until it was ready.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this is still a long amount of time. That's still
Yeah.
a lot of polish you're going to put in there in that amount of time. Like, I'm just really surprised, and I hope
Mm-hmm.
it does come out. But as we saw with Cyberpunk, obviously, if there's publisher pressure, then things are going to come out before they're ready. And I just wouldn't have thought Microsoft was the
Yeah.
team to do that.
Yeah, there already-
Psychonauts is fantastic.
yeah, there are already signs that there's some features that are not going to make it at launch. Co-op being a big one for a lot of people,
Right.
For a lot of Halo enthusiasts and fans who
I'm not
Play
playing
the-
the campaign until there's co-op.
Oh man, really?
Touch it.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
huge.
No
Yeah.
shit. You're one of those.
Yeah.
Back. Okay.
That's
All
fair.
right.
Yeah,
no
it's
no
a-
spoilers
it's-
in the timeline then. Good luck with that.
Shit, I hadn't even thought about that. I hadn't even considered it, but I won't do it. Halo's always been a co-op game for me my whole
Yeah.
life. It's always been something that I've enjoyed with other people, so I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
going to ruin that experience.
That's cool.
When
Yeah.
I could have a LAN experience.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's valid when some people say maybe this game should just be delayed outright. So at launch it has all of those things, so everyone can play it
Yeah.
together, even the people who would play this game only with co-op.
Yeah.
Wait,
or the
so
campaign.
the multiplayer is free to play.
Yes.
Multiplayer's
We have to pay for the campaign.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, or Game Pass. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That is a good point. Everybody's
So-
just going to do Game Pass. But I was
Everyone's
like, does
gonna
that
do
mean that the sales are going to be really staggered for it if I'm not going to buy it and a bunch of other people aren't going to buy the campaign? But it's Game Pass, it's fine.
I mean,
It'll be
I
fine.
still feel like most people who are planning on playing Halo will play it on day one.
Yeah,
I think
I
you're an
think so.
exception in this regard, Alanah,
I'll
by
try
choosing
an hour.
by choosing to sit out. I think people won't be able to resist, and they'll just be like, "Cool, I can do this now," and then maybe come back later when when the co-op is up, and I'm gonna do it with my mates again. Those harder difficulties, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
yeah.
I could do that. I don't know. I feel like I'll be sad the whole time that I'm not playing it with a
Yeah,
friend.
totally,
Yeah.
totally agree. Totally agree.
It's
But it's just like
but
it's
yeah,
it's really wild to see them cut a major feature like that this close to launch,
Mm-hmm.
given that this game is already like a year late. If you know what I mean, like this game was meant to come out last year,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
it's I can't imagine what state that game would have been in had it released last year, and how that whole thing would have gone down. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was really stunned to see them cut co-op this late because I'm like, okay, you had an extra year. That's surely enough time to be able to do everything. And then now it's not quite the 11th hour, but because it's like 3 months out. But it's still pretty late to be able to say, hey, this major feature, we're not shipping that at launch. It's kind of like, okay, that's concerning. So I genuinely wish the best for 343, like I really do. But at
still
the
really
same
excited
time,
about the game.
But then,
yeah, me too. Like Halo's
Yeah.
Halo,
Looks great.
I'm everyone loves Halo, well, most people. But at the same time, that was very much like that is very concerning kind of thing. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? When I heard that news.
There's
I think
an
there's a
element-
subreddit for Halo, like the Last of Us one, where they all just really fucking hate Halo, and they're gonna clip you out now and be like, "Not everybody loves Halo, actually."
Right.
There's always
Yeah.
one.
There's always somebody.
Yeah, there is an element of this campaign is open world. It's no longer that linear experience you're used
Right.
to, and that's I think where the struggle is with implementing co-op. It's just probably a whole different ball game with just and probably more complicated to implement co-op in a structure like this. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. If anyone knows.
Yeah, I know. I expect it to be sort of Destiny-like in campaign,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm forgetting. I had a BCD presentation with them a year ago that I'm now forgetting some of the details of, and it was definitely, it still definitely seems like they're very focused on delivering a very strong story in the campaign. So it shouldn't be completely out of order, or that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
but I don't know. It is just interesting to think about. I'm curious to see the play account with them going free to play. I think that's awesome. Like, I'm very excited about it, and obviously it's on multiple platforms. Like,
Yeah.
I love Halo, and Halo Infinite to me looks like OG Halo, and it always did, even when people were making fun of it. I was still like, hey, it looks like Halo 1.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Sure.
I can't wait. That just like tickles the nostalgia button too well. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I was happy with what we saw. Just surprised by the release date, and I do kind of think you're right, Jake, that it does feel like it kind of slid in there a little bit. It just kind of showed up, which is a strange way to do that.
When's the
anyone
Mountain
play
Dew
the,
gonna come out? Like, it's all screwed up now. Like, I don't understand. Is it available yet?
You know they're making alcoholic Mountain Dew. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'm pre-ordering that for
Well.
Halo launch. Don't you worry. We're gonna do our review drunk on Mountain Dew. That's the plan.
Yeah.
True
What
game
kind of
fuel.
alcohol?
I don't know.
True game
Fake
fuel.
kind, the kind that goes
No
in a
idea.
can with a bunch of juice.
Oh shit.
Did anyone
what-
play
you
the technical preview?
I was in
booted-
Nicaragua, so I wasn't allowed in.
great.
They were like, your internet's not going to work.
Yeah.
I only
played it.
booted it up, but I didn't spend much
Oh,
time with
okay.
it. No.
Gotcha. I played like about 2 to 2.5 hours of it. It feels like Halo, which I'm very pleased by. Everything feels right. There were a lot of technical issues though. Performance wasn't where it should be and stuff. But I'm gonna just take that as it being a technical preview, and we'll wait for a more recent build for that. But
What did they call it? Was it a beta?
technical
Light.
preview, I think.
Just
is actually
technical
what they called
preview.
it. Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great. The AI seemed very impressive to me, actually.
Yeah.
Surprisingly impressive.
They teabag you, so that's good. That's a huge.
That's what we want in our AI.
Absolutely,
Huge step forward for the
future of
industry.
AI in video games.
Yeah.
Teabagging.
Look
It's
at
real
us go.
gamer behavior. They
Yeah,
finally
video
bottled
games
it.
are
They finally
art,
bottled it.
actually. Respect our medium. No, I love it though.
Yeah.
And yeah, the AI did look really good, and it seems like a lot of the AI is voiced, from what I could tell.
Yeah. There
Which
are a
is
number of
interesting.
voices for the AI that you can like choose
What do they-
between. I believe.
What do they say?
Yeah, what do they
Teabagging,
say? I mean, if they're
etc.
teabagging, what else? What are they saying?
They threaten my mom?
I was gonna say. Is it a Modern
you mean the-
Warfare 2
that
lobby?
AI.
Is that
I thought you meant that like your suit also has like an AI. and,
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah,
voice in it that tells you stuff. I thought you meant that, but yeah, I don't know much about the enemy AI.
Because I missed so much of the coverage of it, could you use the grappling hook in the technical preview?
I never picked it up if it was available, so I wouldn't know.
I saw some
see if that
gifs.
was
I saw some
explaining.
gifs of people. Like I think Chris Reagan, I saw in the chat earlier. I think I saw some footage of him using it, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe he was just linking something else he saw. I don't know, but
Chris, can you help out?
Yeah,
Is that a
Chris,
thing
can you
that
tell
was in
us, man?
the
Okay.
tech preview, please?
The Halo advisor.
Do my work first, please. Yeah, number one Halo advisor.
expert.
Should have just tweeted him directly.
yeah,
Grappling hook Halo Infinite.
yeah.
Shout out to the
The
graphics.
chat's
I feel like
all
I
light
missed a lot
up,
of
lit up. Like yeah, you can do it.
Okay, they're saying yes, you could.
Okay, good.
It was a pickup.
It was a
Interesting.
pickup. Yeah. That's I
There
did
you
pick
go.
up this other one where it's like a shield that you drop down, and I don't know. I think that's always been in Halo, but
Yeah.
Like a bubble shield?
yeah, something like that. It's like
Yeah.
a half bubble or
It
something in
looks
front
awesome.
of you.
That thing.
That's
You
right,
shoot
I
out
did see
panels
that.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was a
great.
pickup.
Yeah.
I guess the grappling hook is a part of that. You can pick that up and deploy that. That's your gear. that
Okay,
you
so
carry around.
it's an item thing.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Rather than you'll still be able to have your same weapon loadout, I imagine. But yeah, I'm interested to see how much that changes the game. I mean, I love the grappling hook in Doom and all the jokes about
Sure.
like it's just Doom Eternal. I'm like, I'm all right with it. I don't want it to feel too different to Halo again. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan
New
of OG
Dying Light
Halo,
grappling
but
hook looks so good too. They like
Yeah.
changed the way it works from the first one, and I'm
I
pumped.
can't believe that game's coming out. It's really gonna come out.
so
They're
happy.
really doing it.
Which one?
Yeah. No, Dying Light 2.
Oh, Dying Light 2. Yeah, right.
Oh, Dying
It's
Light.
happening.
yeah.
When's the release date for that?
Like
There
December
is one,
7th?
and again, I'm forgetting it. That sounds vaguely correct.
7th?
Dying Light 2.
Was it December? Wait,
December 7th.
Damn you! Is it December 7th? Steam page tried to make me verify my age.
December 7th. I'm getting that too. Yeah,
Everyone
that
is
sounds
born in
right.
January 1st in Steam's database. By
Every
the way.
time. 1993
single
years
person.
ago. Yeah, it's I keep talking about that game, and I'm very interested in it because of what I think they're starting to do is the beginning of something that I think a lot of video games are going to do in the long term, and I know that Ken Levine is working on, is the Lego building block kind of approach, in that the world is going to change based on what you do. And I don't know how extensively they're going to do it, but it seems like, you side with this faction in a kind of wasteland way. There'll be more water available, and then the city will change and have more flowers around and that kind of thing. Where I genuinely think that's going to be the future of video games, that we are going to see things that are very, very specifically procedural. I've seen Ken's game, and maybe 3 years ago, and I didn't sign anything, but respectfully, I'm not talking about it. But the way that to speak around the way it functions and ties into his GDC talk that's public anyway, is very much about getting rid of set pieces in video games, getting rid of your songbird moment from BioShock, and adding in things that feel more impactful to the player individually, because it is an individual experience, something that not everyone will have, that we replay something and it will be completely different, that we can't all have the same experiences. And I'm really excited about that, because I do feel like now a lot of video games are gameplay with films in between, and I very much felt that way about Psychonauts 2, which I love, but it stops you to have cutscenes so often and to deliver little movies all the time. And I'm like, why are we not allowing the video game to be video game in our storytelling when we have such a cool medium that we could do so much cool shit with, instead of having us stop to watch something? So I'm super excited about Dying Light 2 seemingly touching on that a little bit. I don't know how extensive it's going to go, but
there's so much potential with it, though. There's so much with how, like so many games do like the RPG decisions, and it's like, it's in this RPG, your decision will affect this. But it's different when they apply it where they're trying to rethink it. So I love games like Frostpunk and stuff like that. Those types of strategy games where you make a bad decision and it's like, oh god, and then everything is screwed up, but for like a long term, and the rest of your game, your whole role, so to speak, is affected around that. So if they can kind of marry those two things, those two different styles, that's like, that's all I want.
It's super exciting.
For me, the most compelling stories that I love to share with fellow gamers, if you will, is things that happen to me because of systemic elements that kind of came together in this way that created an epic moment that was unique for me. Games like Metal Gear Solid 5 come to mind, where I would talk to different people about how they tackle their missions, a specific mission, and that all have different stories to share, and some of the crazy moments that they experienced because the systems just came together and created this dynamic situation that only you can have, because you triggered things a certain way, you walked a certain way, you use a certain loadout and whatever.
Yeah.
And so the closer we can get to that, where the systems tell a lot of the moments and stories that you experience, I think, the better.
That's definitely where I think we're headed. It's
awesome.
really difficult because the hardware requirements to run that, and also voice acting is very difficult because you are piecing together. There are a few software companies that do it now, but piecing together different lines of dialogue based on what you've done in real time, which is very complicated to make that sound natural. So I think it's that they have to record a ton of takes and a ton of different options, and then it will still piece them together in real time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very passionate about the idea that video games in the future will tell video games as video games and not as everything is still Half-Life. Like, I think every single first-person shooter is still Half-Life in formula. Sure. And like Ken even said that about BioShock. He was like, it's just Half-Life reskinned. It was like, it absolutely all is. So we're headed in a very exciting direction there. And Dying Light 2, like, I'm just so curious about the tech and what it's going to do, while also knowing that they've had some development troubles and obviously lost their lead writer and have definitely been through some
hurdles,
controversy where that's concerned. But it's coming out. I love the first game, and their completion rate was so high. Like, most people don't finish any video games that they play, but I think Dying Light, the first one, was like 60% completion rate.
And that's good because it was lengthy. Yeah. Like, it was a pretty dense game.
And it got hard towards the end too.
Yeah.
But people enjoyed it enough. So we've covered, all the big video games really. But I wanted to talk about a thing that nobody ever brings up or ever says because you're not allowed. I loved EA's conference. I thought that EA's E3 conference, the first EA Play hosted by Austin Creed, I thought it was so well done, and I loved that. I think specifically they were showing trailers but then having the devs actually speak through them in a way that was like a series of mini state of plays. If they continue to do that and not do the EA conferences that are like 20 minutes of FIFA and then a mobile game that I don't care about of the last decade, I would be so happy to see that. And I was really surprised to not see more people be excited about that, the formula, the way that they approached it. Did you guys have any thoughts about how EA's conferences went down?
Oh, it's been a bit, so
So long ago, I actually just had to
Yeah.
Google it then to be like, what
Yeah.
do we get? We got like Grid Legends.
We had Dead
got
Space.
That's what
Apex
they announced.
Legends. We got that Lost in Random game. We got
Yeah.
Fight at the. Oh no, that's the Knockout City update. Fight at the movies. Battlefield,
Yeah,
obviously.
Battlefield, and the Battlefield
then,
stuff looked dope too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Battlefield looks amazing. Dead Space as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't really have any kind of like specific reflections on the EA stuff. Like it was nice that it was short, sharp to the point. It's definitely better than previous EA conferences, which were
Yeah.
legendarily bad. But I was okay with that because it was great meme fodder, and it made for great montages, right? So I'll be
You
really
can be very
sad.
snarky.
I'll be really sad if they maintain this high
If they're too
standard. You
good.
know what? I want them
Yeah.
to dip back down. Like
Yeah.
personally, that's my hope.
It's fair. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how did you guys feel about Dead Space? Dead Space?
Dead Space.
Dead Space. Ethically,
Dead
like
Space
how
and
does
all.
that? Like obviously they shut down Visceral, got
Yes.
rid of that team, and then they bring Dead Space back.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
Man, I really hope the team. I mean, I'm sure the team is very passionate about this game and want it to succeed, and I want it to succeed. So I wish them all the best. That's certainly a cloud hanging over them. But it's just like all we saw is the a glimpse of the engineer and his like back or something, like a shot of that, and
Creepy room.
yeah, creepy room. This is gonna be, from what I understand, a remake of the first game.
Yeah, I suspect it's like a Resident Evil remake though.
Yeah,
Like the
That's-
way that they did
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
they're gonna change some stuff here and there. Yeah.
Which I'm also completely okay with, because I love Dead Space, but Dead Space actually I think still holds up. You can still play the first Dead Space, and it's still because the sound design's so good.
God, yeah.
It's still just holds up. So them remaking it actually appeals to me. I just hope that they don't put microtransactions in it.
They already said they
because-
weren't. I think. I think
Yeah,
said
I
they
hope
did.
so.
Yeah.
Good
So-
news, because
I
I
feel
mean I
Yeah, go
didn't
on.
hate Dead Space 3, but the weapons crafting system and the idea of you having to grind was
Yeah.
just not what I wanted in Dead Space. But I didn't actually hate it as an action game. I think I hated it more as a horror game.
I feel like there's sort of like two EAs operating at the moment almost, where you've got their sports business, which is trash, you know what I mean? Like it's just constant microtransactions and re-releases and et cetera, et cetera. I
Gambling,
do
yeah.
feel though that
Yeah.
in the last little while that they have put a lot more effort into their core gaming side of things. You know, like you've had your Jedi Fallen Orders and like EA Motive are working on a new Star Wars game, and
Squadrons.
Squadrons was fantastic,
Squadrons.
and I don't think it had any. There was no
Nope.
microtransactions in that either. People were
got
actually
free
calling
content.
for that to be a live service because they're like, we want more updates to this, and EA were like, no live service, and we're like, what the? This is your one thing that you do, you know. So I feel like credit where it's due. You know, like they are on that side of their business cleaning up
Yeah.
shop a little bit, and I respect that. You know what I mean? And so it does make it easier to interface with EA and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to check out some of your stuff now. Whereas before, every part of their business was like, how do we cram the Ultimate Team into our games? Like, obviously,
I
Star
do
Wars
think
Battlegrounds
Ultimate
was
Team
that.
has genuinely damaged the industry. I
yeah, of
genuinely
course.
think it has.
Sure,
like
no
in a
question.
very poisonous way, because then every EA game has to live up to Ultimate Team money, and every other publisher has to compete with Ultimate Team money. And even the way that they got Ultimate Team in, it was just this perfect recipe for it to be accepted, because I believe it was originally like a DLC or a standalone, and then it became packaged, and people were just excited about it. Like, I read up on it because I was like, how are people not furious about Ultimate Team the minute it existed? And it was just this timing and this really specific release that it just like went down, and now here we are, and everybody's trying to be Ultimate Team.
I actually did a video on this a long time ago called the Wilson Loot Box. It's really
remember
funny,
that.
actually, the history of it, right? Because back in the
I thought
day,
you were saying your own video. It's
So, yeah,
really
yeah,
funny,
yeah.
actually. You should watch the video.
I'm not saying my video is funny. I'm saying the story is funny because Andrew Wilson, before he was CEO, was actually just a producer working, with the
Yeah.
troops. And he spotted this product in one of EA's other soccer games. So not FIFA, because they used to do all sorts of spin-off soccer games. He spotted this product called Ultimate Team. And he's like, that's really good. We're going to go with that, right? And so when those other spin-off games died, he brought Ultimate Team into FIFA and then started like winding up the microtransactions on it. And that is how Ultimate Team was born, because it was literally stewarded by Andrew Wilson to
a
where it
good
is
idea,
today.
man.
And that is obviously what, jettisoned him to his leadership position.
Yeah,
So,
I hate it on every level.
Yeah.
I think it sucks so bad. I really think has hurt a lot of other teams because they're like, we have to compete with this golden standard of this exploitative, manipulative thing. But it also, like, when you're a producer working at EA, that's really smart, man.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they made all the money. FIFA alone is 25% of EA's revenue at one game, and 20% of that revenue is Ultimate Team. Not the box sales are like less important. I reckon EA will just phase out box sales very soon in the next few years because it's just a barrier for them. You know what I mean? And they can just keep pumping microtransactions, especially considering now as well, Konami are going to go free to play on their thing. There was also a new soccer game announced at Gamescom called what was that, UF something or other, and they're like yeah, something like that. You know, so there's competition. I guarantee you EA will eventually have to go free to play on their premium releases for sports. They just have to.
I feel like I actually haven't bought an EA game in ages, but I know Origin had, with Anthem, it was really confusing to figure out what you were buying. There were 5 different release dates and days.
Yeah,
sure.
Based on what subscription you had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
a lot.
Which is actually on time access, and everyone else gets
is delayed.
It's how it works.
Which is
if
insane.
you get the deluxe edition or whatever. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was gold tiers, and so they're certainly heading in the Netflix direction. It sucks real bad, but I also, there are things about EA that I think the EA Originals program is absolutely fantastic.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally right.
I'm very excited about Lost in Random.
Really supportive. The
EA
fact
published. It's incredible.
They made it's so good.
That's game of the year for me, I think, probably.
It's
up there. Really good.
It's very good.
Yeah, they let this developer have the autonomy that they wanted, and they let them implement the business model that they wanted, which is why you can buy one copy of the game and play it with a friend at no additional cost. Come on. That's incredible.
They also retain the IP, and
really
EA doesn't profit. EA only recoups costs, so marketing costs included. It's just nuts. The fact that operates that way and is that indie dev friendly. Yeah. I keep trying to be like, what's the catch? Why are they doing it?
I think part of this is brand building though, because again, obviously EA has just been slammed for how they conduct the core of their business for so long. And that's where they make all their money, 75% of their money is from microtransactions in their sports games and mobile, right? So this stuff is nice in inverted commas. And look, obviously there's going to be people at EA who are passionate about making games for core gamers and whatever else. But at the same time, I definitely feel like the executives are looking at this stuff as the whole, almost like the pro bono gigs, hey, we're going to build some goodwill here so we can spend it on the Ultimate Team product and we can trot that out when our next Senate inquiry or our next appearance before Congress. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, look, I'm sure
EA doesn't give a fuck what we think. They don't care if we like them or not, clearly. They don't care. But maybe they do. Maybe they're coming around. Again, this is the first conference that they've had this year that it felt like it was for gamers and not for the stock market. It was not for shareholders. And I don't know. I'm happy about this direction that EA's in. And again, I know you're not allowed to be happy with anything that EA does, but I'm saying it. I'm just if you point out the bad stuff they do, I'm going to point out the good stuff they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ultimate Team is the devil. So that's still really bad, but the other stuff is kind of good a bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality.
It's really fantastic.
And not to jump back to the Dead Space thing, but with them bringing it back, I know a lot of people are very tired of the remakes and remasters and stuff like that. But the way I look at it is that maybe this will lead to more Dead Space games, because there was a time where EA had hedged so much into Dead Space as a brand, as a whole multimedia experience, and it didn't really totally get there, but I kind of thought there was the potential. So maybe this is round 2 and it really clicks, and then we have this whole cool Dead Space horror gross universe.
I think it's also Motive that's working on it, right?
Yes, yeah, correct.
Which did Motive and Visceral did exist at the same point in time. I think Visceral shut down maybe just after Motive. But I mean, my thing with that is I do understand. It would be really weird if they had done that with Fable Legends. I guess Fable is a really similar thing, in that Fable is coming back not from Lionhead. They shut down Lionhead, who were working on Fable Legends, and now it's Playground, and that's not that different overall. But I always think on the side of the dev all the time, because I know a lot of them, and I try to be compassionate. I know video games are hard to make, that it's the team at EA Motive didn't have anything to do with that. Those people just want to make a really good game.
Definitely not. Of course not. It's not them.
They're not fuck you, Visceral.
No.
It's not how it went down. And I think it looks cool, but I also, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it morally. I'm like, this really sucks. Like, Visceral was so good at doing what they did, but I'm also really excited about Dead Space, so I just know that when I'm going to boot it up that I feel a little bit weird about it. But I was super excited to see that announcement. And also Skate, unexpected. Skate's happening as well.
Yeah.
EA's being all right.
The good news is if somehow they botch Dead Space, there's the other game that the creator of Dead Space is actually working on as an indie. Protocol.
Callisto Protocol.
Yeah,
I think I've heard about that.
Yeah, man. It's sick.
Callisto.
It had a really cool trailer. It was a cinematic trailer, but
it's
it
a
set the
survival
tone.
game?
It's like a Dead Space spiritual successor. It's straight up like spooky, gross space horror. And it's weirdly enough, it must be some sort of deal with money and Tencent, but it technically takes place in the PUBG cinematic universe.
What?
Like it's in the future of the PUBG world, and it seemingly has nothing to do with it other than just it says it, which is wild. But the teaser trailer thing, Yong, that was so cool. Like that was really promising. Just setting a tone. Like at least that I can get a glimpse of the tone, and I like what I see.
Yeah, it's very much in his wheelhouse, and he made Dead Space, so I'm sure he can work wonders with the more modern tech and visuals and gameplay. I don't know. I'm really super excited.
This does look cool. Yeah. Does it have a release date?
Not.
Not that it looks like.
I don't even think it has a window.
I think I saw 2022 on here somewhere, but maybe I'm making that
maybe
up.
It does.
No, it's that I'm seeing the year that it's set is 2320. It's probably.
There is a 2022 rough release window. So
neat. That's awesome. I had no idea this existed.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So at least there's that.
Yeah, I mean, survival horror specifically is my favorite genre of video game. I will play absolutely all of them until I die, and I'm stoked about it. So now we get both, and that's great.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's a win.
Yeah, to change tone, how many state of plays have we had this year? We've only really had Horizon Zero Dawn. Is that right?
Let's see. Yeah, Horizon.
Was it indie? Was there an indie showcase? Was that like an indie thing that they did?
I think there may have been.
I think there was one indie thing.
We just don't remember this year at all. I googled State of Play and a movie from 2009 comes up.
Yeah, that always happens to me as well.
With Russell Crowe and Ben Affleck?
Yeah, that's right. The one.
What?
Is that something about American football, right? Is that the one?
It is, yeah. I didn't know that was a thing. There you go. Well, we've had a couple, obviously, but PlayStation's not had like a big conference. But we've now had multiple from Xbox. So, general question: how are you guys feeling about the state of Xbox in 2021 and how they're setting up for the next couple of years?
I think setting up is the proper term. Like this feels like a completely different ball game from Xbox One. Like they have got some stuff coming up. And once they get that ball rolling, Psychonauts 2 came out recently, and that's an awesome game.
Yeah.
This generation, it really feels like they've got their stuff together. And the Bethesda purchase obviously is massive. I mean, Starfield is going to be an Xbox exclusive. That's going to generate huge, I think, sales for Xbox and for Game Pass in particular, which is what I think Microsoft cares more about. This platform endeavor. So I'm really optimistic about Xbox's future, to be honest. I feel like they've been kind of knocking it out of the park, at least what they're setting up. It's all about just the execution now,
Totally.
Yeah, headlining games. Go ahead, Ralph.
Jake, no, you go, please.
I was just gonna say, main headlining games. Like it's been a little bit of a slow burn, but they've also been very, very straightforward with what they're building, what they're doing, and I, at the very least, like that. I always have something as like a talky person. I always have something to talk about with what they're doing, what they're building, what they're trying. It's interesting whether or not you agree with like the Game Pass model or this or buying this and doing this. Like they're trying things and it's interesting. And I'm just curious to see what happens as someone who's just like no horse in any particular race or stable or whatever the metaphor is.
Right.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, because I remember like I used to work at EV Games back in the day. Did you used to work there as well, Alanah?
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
5
right.
years.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Me too, actually.
That's
5
great.
years. Yeah. Or like GameStop, as you guys call it over there. But
right.
I always used to, people come in and they would say like, should I buy a PlayStation or an Xbox, right? And those the question, or back then was the GameCube or whatever it was, right? And I always think about
How
that
old
question.
are you?
Older. So like it's always that question of like, what would I say to a customer like that today? And in fact, someone asked me recently, a friend of mine, like, what should I buy? And certainly last generation, I would have said, there's no way in hell you should buy an Xbox, man. Just buy a PlayStation. Like, that's it. No question at all. But now I feel like there are really strong pros and cons for both platforms, and if you were just to say, like, sight unseen, I haven't met you before, what should you buy? I would probably say an Xbox on balance. Because if you can hook into Game Pass, if you're a casual gamer and you can hook into Game Pass for $10 a month and get all that stuff, that's insane. Like, that is absolutely nuts. And obviously, PlayStation had its classics. There's lots of reasons. I'm not saying Xbox better. That. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
I'm just saying, like,
a lot of good games on PlayStation.
I'm just saying that deal is so compelling and so much that it's a differentiator. You know what I mean? And I think that is gonna. I don't know. I feel like PlayStation needs to answer that somehow, because the PlayStation Classics lineup isn't quite enough. So, look, again, this is going to get clipped and spread. I dread the Twitter stuff. God, the whole like console war stuff just bums me out so much. Obviously,
it's
both.
Exhausting.
It's so exhausting. It's so much. It's just, But anyway, point is, both consoles are great. And before I would have said, don't bother with an Xbox. But now I'm like, consider both options, because both are great and both have great strengths. And that's what we want. That's what we want to be. Like, we want both platforms to be strong and at their kind of like fighting weight.
Very brave. Very incredibly brave.
Brave take.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
My answer to that question when I worked at EB Games was always whatever your friends have, because I was working there during the 360 PS3 era, where I felt like both of them were strong for different reasons. So I was like, if this is a casual gamer, you're probably mostly going to play the big third-party games that are on both of them. Mm-hmm. Buy your son or your daughter whatever their friends have so they can play online. But even that bridge now is kind of... There's a gap there. Now we can actually play cross-platform as well.
Yeah.
I have everything, and I will continue to have everything. So for me, I feel like I'm winning no matter what.
Yeah.
PlayStation, I feel like clearly has the strong single-player, extremely high-quality titles.
Definitely.
You may call me a shill. That's technically correct. But I also genuinely believe it. They make fantastic games. But Game Pass's value is just like undeniable. It's such good value, and the fact that I don't have to buy anything.
I still feel
all right, I own it.
I still feel like the best possible configuration you can have right now is a PlayStation 5, a PC, and a Switch. After that, you're covered, man. It's like, that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't actually have to have an Xbox. You just need to have a touch point. You just need to have a touch point with the Microsoft ecosystem, with the Xbox ecosystem.
Which, again, they don't care, I don't think. Sure, they want you to buy Xboxes. They just want you on Game Pass.
xCloud. You're going to be able to play on your old Xbox One. You're going to be able to play, like, next-gen Xbox games using xCloud. That's nuts. Do you know what I mean? So, that config, I think, is the place to be.
And then I will purchase the Steam Deck and just ascend to gamer heaven.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
I become elite.
I don't want one, and I don't have interest in it because, and I know this is so specific, and I was like, when I spoke about this before, I was like, a lot of people are going to disagree with me. When I'm playing PC games on my beautiful super ultra wide monitor, and I'm sitting where I'm sitting right now, I'm in heaven. That is my ideal way to play a video game, is right here, this beautiful screen. Everything looks incredible. I use the Switch usually for indie games that are often already on Steam.
Yep.
And that's the thing that I use on the go. I don't feel like if I had a Steam Deck that I would touch it. I just don't feel like I would use it. I do think the fact that it isn't tied to an OS is awesome. It has so much functionality. Also for emulators is very cool. Yes. But for me, I was like, I'm always just going to sit on my PC or use my Switch. I just don't feel like I need one.
This is good because you're thinking like a practical human. I just think like a stuffed goblin, and I just need the thing, and it's going to collect dust anyway, but I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
But I definitely really want to try it.
Yeah, for me, I've grown really fond of this guy right here, the Steam controller. And the fact that you've got this, like, once you get used to the track pads with the gyros, like, it's actually really, really accurate. And having that...
I've never tried one.
It's interesting. I hated it for the first hour, and then I loved it. I played Death Stranding with this for a bit, and I thought it was really, really great. For the games that
Civ
this works... Civ? Oh, really?
You played Civ with it?
Yeah.
Was that better than keyboard and mouse?
I don't know. but I did it.
Kind of, lean back, and, it's convenient.
Yeah.
And with the Steam Deck, it's like, it's this return for the Steam controller, and you've got this almost like Wii U gamepad kind of configuration. I don't know if anyone's played Splatoon on the Wii U gamepad, but I liked that like aiming with the analog sticks and the gyros at the same time, and now you got the trackpads as well. And I don't know. I think I love that control scheme, and to be able to play games like that again in this portable small form factor. I don't know, that appeals to me. And recently I went back to like Delaware to visit family, and I didn't have my chonky ass PC, and I would have loved something like Steam Deck to take that with me and play the PC games that I have here.
I guess like I also have a gaming laptop, so what the fuck am I talking about anyway? Like when I went to Australia, I was playing games on a gaming. That's how I played Death's Door. Like,
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's
I'm gonna buy it. Like, who am I kidding?
course you
But
are.
I'm just
Don't
in my
be
head. I'm like, I'm not
ridiculous.
gonna use it that much. I'm not gonna use it that much, but I probably will.
when I game on a laptop, it feels like there's a lot of setup involved, where I have to like open the thing, plug in the controller, and like I don't know. Whereas with the Steam Deck, I feel like you can just kind of boot it up immediately and just sit down and get
It
right
just
into
works.
it. It just
Yes.
works exactly. So I
You
don't know.
should
Those
trademark
are the
that
scenarios
tagline.
that I'm thinking about, but I honestly don't know until I get my hands on it how much I'll end up playing it and how
Yeah.
well it's executed and how well it performs, and all those things will matter. But
Mm.
I don't know.
You guys big fans of PlayStation Vita?
Oh, I was.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
wish it was
Okay, me
supported
too.
better, but yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, me too. So I feel like I'm happy with there being more handhelds. There are plenty of issues that I have with the Switch, despite knowing that this is the weirdest thing about console wars, is how often I get called a PlayStation shill or an Xbox shill, and I'm out here with my Pokemon tattoos and my Pokemon themed username.
Right.
I'm like, I fucking love Nintendo. I don't know why you guys don't call me out on this all the time.
Yeah.
Very weird that they aren't part of the race, but like, there are issues with that it's also having another competitor, considering how well the Switch has sold for Nintendo, considering how incredibly well their games have sold higher than they even projected, actually adds a direct competitor to the Switch. So hopefully that means that we get better features on the Switch as well. Maybe they're online.
I don't think
Doesn't
it's a
suck.
competitor to the Switch, personally. I mean,
It's not, but they might see it as one, is my point. That
Nintendo
may be like, yes, they may be like handheld.
I would be surprised if Nintendo even knows Steam as a company exists. You know what I mean? Like, they are just so in their own like universe.
That is fair.
They'd be like, "What? What is this?" You know what I mean? So I wouldn't bank on that either.
Yeah.
That is fair. I suspect that in part they see mobile as a competitor in some ways, but then they're not like, they are creating mobile games as well. They do very much live in their own world, and I do appreciate Nintendo for being innovative in a lot of ways because of that. But don't shit on my dreams. I'm just asking for a better Switch. Okay.
As long as the Nintendo
Maybe.
games keep coming out on Switch, like that's the only place you'll be able to play your Marios and your Zeldas. And as long as that remains the case, and it will, Nintendo's going to keep selling Switches like candy.
And their first party games are so polished too.
I mean, they really
They're
are.
so good.
Except
I
for the
do think Pokemon
games.
looks pretty bad. Yeah, they look
Except
pretty
Pokemon
bad.
looks trash.
I still
Come
play
at me,
them and
chat.
enjoy them though. I still really like them despite knowing that they look pretty terrible. But that's who I am. No Nintendo shill.
Did you guys see that Gamescom game that looks like the crazy Pokemon if it was like jacked up and just insane?
Yeah.
That looks
Yes.
incredible. That
Oh
looks
my
like
God.
game of the year before it's give
Yeah.
that game an award. Jesus Christ.
That game was like the breakout Gamescom game out of nowhere.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. It looks
I was
so
losing their
much
shit.
fun.
Okay,
Like,
this is the open world.
Starts with a K or something?
Kind of young kid
Oh, the
style
K-pop
running
background,
around.
the South Korean game is
Yep.
that
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from the people
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
Black Desert Online.
okay? Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Can
But
I
it's
say
not
that
an
does not
MMO,
look-
technically.
It does not look like a real game. Can I say
No,
from the trailer?
it doesn't.
Like it just
It looks fake.
If the real game actually looks anything like that, I'm going to be really surprised. Okay, but if it's within like maybe 40% of what they showed, I'm still okay with that, and I'm still like, yes, give me this. This
Yeah.
looks too fun. You know?
The live
Is it
reaction of
online?
me.
It's not an MMO, right?
No,
It's not. It was at first,
Okay.
but they came out and clarified, and they're like, it's not an MMO. It's an open world RPG thing. I had like a big
Okay.
transformation while watching the trailer. First, I was like, ew, they're like weird
Yeah,
babies. Ooh, this is surreal. Wow, this is beautiful. Is the frame rate 10
looks
frames
fun.
per second? This is gorgeous. Look at that combat. I need to play this. And then it just kept going and going, and it like was like a 10-minute long trailer. But
Yeah.
I'm like,
So
I can't stop thinking about it.
Dokev? Dokev?
yeah.
Dokeve?
Dokev or
Dokev?
Doke 5.
They wrote out how to say it. It's like
Doke five.
Dokeve.
Oh, did they? You should find that. Doke
It's giving
5.
first 4, Doke 5 coming next year.
Apparently, it was originally introduced as an MMO, but then they decided to move the game in a different direction, and now it's a creature collecting open world
Yes.
action adventure.
I saw
Sounds
that.
cool. Yeah, no, I'm down
Very
for that.
cool.
Sign me the
Yeah,
hell
and super
up.
unexpected. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it looked really neat. But I guess that's a good transition into the last thing that I was going to ask you guys about was, what are we looking forward to for the rest of 2021, other than Deathloop, which I think is fantastic. You really should play it.
What am I looking forward to?
Does it have to be
Horizon
2021?
Zero Dawn seemed like the big one for the end of the year, and obviously that's been pushed. I still think that looks awesome, and I'm a
me
huge
too.
fan of Gorilla.
Sure.
It looks very, very cool.
Sure.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 2021. You can give me the future. What are you
I gotta
excited
say,
about?
Shifu.
Shifu. Ooh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh
best
yeah,
friends.
yeah.
Yeah, great minds, great minds. Shifu is looking astounding, and Jeff Keighley during Gamescom came out and said, like, I tried the game and the combat feels as good as it looks. Like that's
Good.
mainly what I'm concerned about. Like it looks flashy, but how does it play? And to hear that positive remark gives me a lot of hope. But I mean, it looks like Kung Fu and John Wick had a baby, and the combat looks so smooth. The animations, the fluidity of everything.
Yeah.
It's and the style, like it just looks really
Yeah.
stylish. I'm
Yeah.
not expecting it to be very long. Just
Yeah.
based on what we've
And
seen, I
believe
would guess
like
it's a pretty
30
short
or
game.
$40 too.
Is
Oh.
it
Yeah.
interesting?
Okay.
And isn't it also platform exclusive? It's only coming out on
Oh, is
one
it?
of
Is
them.
it?
PlayStation and I think,
I think it's
PC.
PlayStation. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It really
Maybe-
feels
maybe
like
Absolver.
It does not come up on Google quickly. I've got Play Shifu, which is an AR-based award-winning STEM toys and educational system. I'm just trying to find Shifu.
Not
yes.
that.
it feels
Shifu
like
game. Just give me
that
Shifu.
studio is slowly working up towards the point where they can pitch John Wick, the franchise, and like
Yeah.
get them to
Oh.
agree. Oh, like, yeah, you can have it, and you can make a John Wick game, like Absolver, and now
Right?
this, and next one they're going to announce it.
It is a PS5 and PC title.
Yes.
Not
And sorry, is it Shifu or is it pronounced Sifu?
I think it's usually pronounced Shifu.
I watch Ip Man a lot, and they say Sifu, but
Do they? I might
Yeah.
be wrong. Yeah.
Could be either way. Yeah, I do think it looks awesome. Very kung fu. Like I've tweeted about this game a bunch, and I feel like I actually get often kind of negative responses. People are like, how is this any different to Arkham? How is this any different to any of this? And I'm
tell
like,
them to play Absolver.
If you want to give me more games that have an Arkham-like combat system, go ahead, my friend. Like, at
They're
no
good.
point am I going to be like, we have too much of this combat.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
play
gonna be
sleeping dogs.
surprised if they think it plays
Do
like
all of it.
Arkham. Like, come on, man.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
How is this not like Power Stone? Like, what the hell, man? You're just punching people. Like, come on now. Jesus
God, it looks
Christ.
cool.
And
The
I
colors.
also
Yeah.
gotta say replaced whatever that
Yeah.
turns out to be.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
had forgotten about that.
At the very least, it looks gorgeous. But I just still I don't know what it is yet. Is my only problem. But
That is the one that was very cyberpunky.
yeah,
It was
And
the one
it's
that
not The Last Night,
Look,
correct?
it's not The Last Night. It looks like The Last Night, but
Yes.
it's not The
Yeah.
Last Night. Yeah.
it has graphics that are somewhat reminiscent of something like Octopath Traveler, which is like this
Yeah.
pseudo pixelated but also 3D
weird-
kind of blend. Yeah, it has that look, and it's
It does look really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's almost got some forgetting the name of the studio, some like inside type vibes.
Yeah,
for sure.
sure. Yep.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's just-
and this
does.
kind of
that-
speaks
and
to
that
what
was
SkillUp said about
Game
how
Pass.
it's the indie scene is kind of starting to really rise to the forefront while we wait for these AAA games that are getting more complicated. The development times seem to be getting longer as they have to continue to kind of top themselves and raise the bar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
These indie games are really coming out and getting us excited for things to play in the meanwhile, and
it's true.
yeah, and some of these games are like up there in terms of fun factor and narrative and whatever.
I mean, 12 minutes technically not indie, Annapurna, but I mean the voice cast of that just coming out of an indie game was
Right.
really surprising. I know people have been really mixed on that game, but that like is a great example of, and I just like, I always want to tell everybody to just go play Outer Wilds. Just everybody just go play that
This is
game.
the greatest game ever made. Please, let's
It's
just
the
let's just
ultimate
say
video
it,
game.
Okay, let's just say it right
Just
here, right
go
now.
play it.
Damn,
And
I
there's
played it
actually
for
an
a
expansion
half
coming
hour.
out. Like you asked before, like what am I
played it
looking
for,
forward
like,
to?
Sorry? Yeah, I played it
go.
for like 2 hours, and
Yeah, I bounced off hard.
No,
I get that because I think I pushed through because I was streaming it at the time, and it's really disorienting at first in every single way. How do you control this ship? What the hell am I supposed to be doing? You're not giving me any guidance. What do you want from me? You know what I mean? Yeah. But then after it starts to click, it is just like, wow, every video game should be something like this. It doesn't have to be that game, but it has to at least incorporate really big chunks of it because you talked earlier, Alanah, about storytelling in games, how it needs to be kind of like more like sort of emergent and player led. But I think like discovery is what I'm really interested in because we had this really prescriptive model of like discovery within the last generation of open world games where it's like, go to this map marker. Hey, that box is shimmering. Click on, walk over to it. Whereas that sense of actual discovery and actual exploration, it's just so rare. And no other game, and I will definitely die on this hill, no other game ever made has better nailed that sense of discovery than Outer Wilds. Like that.
Get dunked on all video games.
Yeah, totally.
Get wrecked.
Like, you may not like it, cool, but like I will definitely just die on
No,
that
it's a
hill
fantastic game.
The way it does it is incredible.
I didn't quit because I got bored of it or anything. I just I played those 2 hours and I got super busy and then just kind of forgot about it. So I should go back to it. But those 2 hours that I
really
played,
should, yeah.
It's like, it's this time loop, Majora's Mask style kind of structure, but with every loop you learn something new about the frickin' universe that you're in, and you use that knowledge to go out and kind of dig out more clues that unravel whatever this mystery is building up to. And I was like super into it from like the first couple hours that I played. I just need to finish it.
It's also probably not a game you can easily pick up and then leave for a while and go back to. You probably do need to play it all at once, but it's also not that long, so you can play it all at once. I remember I previewed it at a PAX. I played it, and I don't think I even ended up writing anything about it because the impressions that I had in the 20 minutes was, the controls. Spaceship, how to land. And then I was like, no, I'm good. Like, what is this? You just talk to some aliens and then you fail to fly a ship. But yeah, when you sink more time into it, it really is fantastic. I love how this spawned of me asking what you're excited about.
Literally, Outer Wilds was my game of the year for 2019 and 2020, and with the expansion, I get an excuse to make it my game of the year for 2021 as well.
You son of a bitch!
I'm very excited.
Show up at it again.
That's right.
Look at him go.
Exactly
when will it end?
That's right.
Jake, how are you feeling? What are you most excited about?
It was probably Sifu, Dying Light 2. I guess for 2021, Deathloop from the previews really surprised me. I wasn't into it, but then I watched like one of the developer previews a couple months back, and I was like, wow, this is funnier than I thought. This is more immediately engaging than I thought. It's a little more involved than I thought. It's not just like be good at Dishonored powers. There's like way more going on structurally.
The Dishonored powers are there.
Yeah,
they are clearly Dishonored powers. It's the one thing that makes it way, way different to Dishonored. And I love Dishonored. I think Dishonored and Dishonored 2, the level design in those games, like I can play them forever.
Yeah.
Is that the AI is not very aggressive. So I multiple times in a level killed everybody because I could. I was like, I'm gonna just kill all of them, see what happens, and see what information I can find when everybody's dead. Whereas Dishonored, I feel like I am bad at because the stealth can be extremely punishing. So Deathloop, almost like I keep trying to describe based on what I played as a puzzle FPS. It's just one very big puzzle that is also a first-person shooter. Obviously, you can play stealth if you want to, but it isn't Dishonored reskinned, and it's a really hard game to explain. It's not Hitman, it's not a roguelike. You can keep all your weapons. You could play it as a roguelike and lose them all when you die if you want to. But it basically feels like, the 5 hours that I played, there's just this huge puzzle in front of me where I have to kill these 8 people. I have to find out where they are at certain points in time, because you can jump between each of the 4 levels. You have 4 time changes in a day. And basically, you go into a level and say, I'm going to spend my morning here. When I leave, I'm going to spend noon in this one. Then I leave afternoon in this one, nighttime in this one. That's how the time works. So when you're actually in the levels, the time doesn't progress. It progresses when you leave and choose what you're going to do with the rest of the day. And so, like, I know where certain people are at certain times of the day, and I know what they're doing, and I'm learning about their relationships, and I have to figure out how to kill 8 of them. But it is absolutely not going to be possible for me to visit all 8 of them at once. There is no way that I'm going to find them all. So it's like, okay, how do I get 2 of them to die at the same time at the same event? If I do something in the morning, can I get one of them to go to a different location at a certain point in time so that I can maybe have 3 of them in the same room or something like that? And I don't know what the answer is, and I feel like that is super exciting to like know the video. Yeah, to know the video game right from 4 hours in to be like, this is the task. This is what I have to do. It's not kill 12 assassins in this order and the story will unravel. It's literally, you have to kill these 8 people. You have to figure out how the fuck to do it. And it's just one really big puzzle. And I don't know, like right now I'm super excited and I can't stop thinking about it and I want to keep playing it really badly. And that's great after 5 hours and something. And yeah, it is funny. It is really stylish. I think I mentioned, but some of the writing like borders on obnoxious. I think some people won't like it. Oh, my webcam froze. That's a nice face. Great face to freeze on. Thank you for that. Elgato, appreciate it. There we go. Yeah, some of the writing I think some people won't like, but it suits the tone of the game really well and also helps to make it really distinct from Dishonored. So I don't know. I'm super into it. I really hope that the puzzle is difficult to solve. I don't know if there are going to be multiple options. I don't know if it's going to get frustrating as you fail to do it, but I'm not even at a point of failure yet. I'm still at a point of discovery. So I love it. So
did you play No One Lives Forever back in the day?
I didn't.
Okay, right. Okay, cool. Because a lot of people looking at that and like, oh, it has that kind of vibe, and I just wondered if it actually came through, like in reality, you know, if it actually does feel like that. So, because it had that whole '60s kitsch spy thing going on.
Yeah, it's super stylish. Okay. I do really like it. Also, everyone's talking about Forgotten City on my timeline right now, and I really want to try that too. Actually,
I reviewed that.
It's another time loop game.
It's nice. I mean, yeah, it's there's some parts.
It's nice.
To it that, no, it is like it's got some It's very pleasant to play, I would say, you know, because it just kind of rolls through.
Wait, it's Australian?
Yeah, it's okay. So the story of Forgotten City is actually a Skyrim mod made by this guy, and the Skyrim mod blew up, right?
No way.
And then it won like an Australian Writers Guild award actually, for best interactive experience. And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna make a game out of this. So he wrangled in like 2 other people. They had a core team of 3, and 2 others helped out. They worked for 5 years on it, I think. This guy just like killed himself working 80 hours a week to make it happen.
Oh my god!
Excuse me. And yeah, it shipped, and yeah, it's reviewed spectacularly well. I think on Steam, it's at like 97% positive or something. So people really love it, and I reviewed it. I liked it. It's just got a few things that kind of really hit my enjoyment, but I certainly recommend checking it out, especially because you've got an interest in like time loop games like Outer Wilds or Deathloop. Then you know you should definitely check this out because it's. I
think I'll put it next on my list.
Yeah.
Very cool. So is it a standalone, or do you have to have?
It's a standalone game. No, they spun off. They completely separated from Skyrim, and they actually rebuilt the game in Unreal. It's nothing to do with Skyrim. They own it. It's theirs. It's just its own
very
thing.
cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It's called The Forgotten City, and it's out on like every platform. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's 86% on Metacritic, which is not that high, but
no, but like again, the Steam ones. Again, I was like looking at the Steam because I looked at it. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's insane. I'm looking it up now, actually, but I really am very happy.
His name is Nick Pearce. So I wonder if I need to reach out and be like, "We related? How did this happen?" It won Mod of the Year in 2015. I really didn't know.
97% positive on Steam with 1,600 reviews. So that's insane. Like I look at pretty much every user score for every major game that comes out because I cover it in my like news show each week. I have not seen a user score that high this year for any game. So that's really crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely next on my list of things to play. But I'm feeling like
I'm gonna just spruik as well. Endwalker, by the way. Is anyone else a Final Fantasy fan in the house? Anyone?
I've just started to get into it.
Here we go. That's it. Glad to hear it. Love to see it. Love it.
Realm Reborn is a struggle to get through, which is what everyone's been saying. But I hear once you get through the essentially 50-hour tutorial, then you get to.
It's little like 90 hours, but yep, absolutely. So it's such a shame. It's such a shame that like Final Fantasy is structured the way that it is. Like it could not be as great as it is with any other structure. But the structure is also its worst enemy because it took me 360 hours to hit the end game for that. And if I skipped any part of that, then there's almost no point because the point of Final Fantasy is that journey, you know? And but Shadowbringers was extraordinary. It was pretty much the best. So
is that what caused this resurgence? Because I feel like I didn't see many people talk about it. Now everybody is talking about it. Was it Shadowbringers that brought people back in?
It's a lot of things. Yeah, Shadowbringers was the best expansion, and so it attracted a lot of people. But then after that, there was like a bit of a lull, and then obviously WoW hit all its turmoil. Even before all the Activision Blizzard stuff, people were just really pissed off. And then you had Asmongold, the streamer, who, you know, is the largest WoW streamer by a country mile, and he jumped over, and then that pulled a lot of other content creators as well, caused this massive groundswell, and off it went, you know. So, but even before then, like, it definitely wasn't just Asmon. Obviously, he gave it a good shot, but before then, people just loved it. It's incredible. As I said, it's so impossible to recommend, though, because of the fact that it is, like, you know, 100+ hours to get to the point where you get to the end game experience, and a lot of people play MMOs to get to that end game, you know. So
I won't do it because MMOs ruin my life. I just don't have time for it anymore, so I won't touch it. But I have watched a few streams of it, and it does look really good. And I also can't think of another MMO that's had this much goodwill. I mean, I played a shit ton of Guild Wars 2 and Neverwinter. And I really loved both of those. I still really like Guild Wars 2, but even those communities had, you know, the angry fans, where I feel like Final Fantasy somehow doesn't. Like, everyone's just happy about it.
It doesn't. It's got it's a fascinating game because of how personal the connection is with the people who make it. There's a sort of this core group of developers who are, you know, on a first name basis with the community, and they're very wholesome, and they really rescued this game where it was like so bad that it had to be blown up. Like, they literally had the moon smash into the planet to reset the game. It was so bad, and then these other people took over, and they just built it with just, like, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. They've always treated their community really well. They speak to them very regularly. It's just very wholesome, you know, and it's a very rare kind of connection that you don't find in many other games, particularly these live service games where people have this endless thirst for content. But, you know, one of the best things this team has done is kind of set people's expectations appropriately. Like, hey, there's not always going to be more content. Go and play some other games. Chill out. You know what I mean? And I think the community, as a result, is very mature about what they ask for and what they expect, and it creates just a really good relationship. So,
I was reading something about the real estate market.
Oh man, don't even.
You can buy a house.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. It was like EVE Online levels of interesting, of like a game I've not played, but then I'm gonna read all this drama. Like, if you read the EVE Online, oh my god, I think the Archives is the name. It's so cool.
It's fascinating.
Like, I'm never gonna touch this shit, but holy shit, don't stop.
I want to make. Good. If I was a writer, I would write a TV show based on Eve's stories. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a cool TV show that I would watch, because that shit is wild. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the Final Fantasy stuff does seem like, the real estate stuff seems vaguely similar from what I read. I don't remember it very well, though. Can either of you explain it to me?
All it is basically there's a finite number of houses. And because everything else in the game is available to everyone, but the housing is finite, and you know, it's bid-based prices. So you have these people with hundreds of millions of gil, and they stand there outside these placards. That's how you buy a house in Final Fantasy. You can't just buy it. You actually need to stand outside this placard waiting for it to populate, and it's a random time. So you'll have people standing there clicking for 15 hours. Like, that's just what you do when you want to buy a house in Final Fantasy.
Real estate market.
It is exactly like buying a house in San Fran is the meme. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. But, you know, eventually they're going to add some other stuff. Like, they're going to have farming coming in the next expansion, which people are assuming will be instanced. But don't buy Final Fantasy, because if you're interested in housing, it's probably not going to happen for you. Okay, just buy it for a cool story that will like consume your 300 hours plus.
There's a free to play period, where
is that?
Yeah,
free trial.
A free trial. I'm on the free trial where you can get up to level 60, up to Heavensward, I believe, which is the first expansion, and then after that you have
including Heavensward. That's right.
Including Heavensward,
with no restrictions on playtime, might I add. So
which is a pretty good way to at least see if it's for you.
I'm really glad I managed to wrangle this podcast into a Final Fantasy 14 promotion platform. I'm really
just
proud
like, it's Final Fantasy and it's
Outer Wilds.
And here we are.
Sorry, Jake.
Video games.
I can't. No, I just had one question about this. So, as someone who loves Final Fantasy straight up. Where is like the DNA there? Is there like, what's the identity? Like,
like you're casting, like you've got a white mage, and there's like all the armor is ripped from the previous games. You'll have entire raids that are actually pulled from like Final Fantasy 12. And Final Fantasy 8 was the most recent one. Like you heard like Final Fantasy 8 soundtrack remixed in Final Fantasy 14. Force Your Way, the new version.
What?
Holy shit, man! There is no more hyper song across all the video games right now than Force Your Way, Final Fantasy 14. So like all that stuff. There was even a Nier raid, by the way, which as a massive Nier fan,
what?
The Nier raid was extraordinary.
What?
Like, dude, no. Like imagine 2B and 9S, and they're there, and you're going through the copied factory, and like you have the sound of like Keiichi Okabe's soundtrack playing and the remixes of it, and it's just like fucking insane, man. So good. You don't understand. You just have to do it, okay?
No, this is bad.
Exactly.
I can't do this to myself.
Yeah.
No,
I
feel like someone is trying to sell me heroin, and I'm like, I know that.
Don't let it
I
take
shouldn't
me. I
take
can't
this.
do it.
Yeah, that's right.
I got some friends who play this game, and they showed me that near raid, and it was incredible.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's the current
yeah.
it's the current end game raid, like casual raid for Final Fantasy.
God.
And then the hardcore raids are based on Final Fantasy VIII. So and they're pulled from that. And there's all sorts of like, Easter eggs throughout there. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, it really rewards that. But at the same time, you don't have to have been a hardcore Final Fantasy fan. You can just jump in and like whatever off you go. So
no.
So rip all your free time, ladies and gentlemen. There it goes.
All right, Alanah,
So
what
much
platform?
to
Where are we
do.
going?
Ralph the
Let's
drug
do it.
seller.
Well, I guess that's a good place to leave it somehow. I don't know how we ended up here, but I'm all right with it. Lots of goodwill there. I did want to say that another game that I feel like has a very positive community in a similar way is Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
the amount of
it's-
updates that Rare give.
I played it after like a year after it came out or something, and yeah, it's they've really kind of brought it back, and it's a lot of fun when you play co-op. I think solo is
So much fun.
not, it's whatever, but yeah, when you're playing
Yeah.
co-op and you're like giving out orders on, okay, no, you take on this task and you do that, and you're managing the ship, and when you're fighting against other players, like that can be really fun and intense, or fighting against the Kraken that pops out of nowhere in the middle of the sea.
It is terrifying too.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
They're
'Cause
real
you can
scary.
just lose everything, like all this, everything you've plundered, like you want to take back to base to upgrade your ship, but you could lose all of that if you get wrecked, or enemy players could steal that from you and stuff. Like it. Yeah, no, it's fun actually.
It is a great game, and yeah, I think they do a lot of really good updates and a lot of Twitch integrations as well. Like I feel like they just support that community really well. So my final question, and you have short answers only. Okay, they have to be short. No outer wilds of Final Fantasy. I've already said that I think my current game of the year is Death's Door. Can I get the answer from each of you? For some reason, the end of August feels like the middle of the year for video games with the way that it's weighted November. So Jake, what's your current pick for game of the year?
My brain is broken. Can I not go first? I can't remember.
Oh my god.
Ralph.
Okay, very quickly, I heard what you said. I think Take Two in terms of like, It Takes Two in terms of like, as a game that was designed by people, you're like, whoa, holy shit, man, this is insane. Like the level design in that is unbelievable, and it's nuts. So I think that, but the one that I actually think I've enjoyed the most I played this year was actually Valheim, which I dumped a good 70 hours into with some friends. And that game, I think, is incredible, and it really nails that kind of sense of discovery that I spoke about earlier. It really took me back to the old World of Warcraft days, funnily enough, like vanilla WoW, when, what's over that horizon, and you're going there with your friends, and I don't know, I really loved it. And I again, it doesn't have that kind of technical polish that other games do. It's still early access, but I really think it's amazing. And when it comes out in 1.0, like I just think it's going to blow everyone away. That's my guess.
Played that game for 14 hours straight the first time that I played it.
You did? Right. What'd you
It was
think?
disgusting.
Oh, okay.
I got very sweaty.
Good.
It was it was a bad idea.
Sure.
No, I loved it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely unexpected too. Came out of nowhere. Very cool.
Yeah.
Young, how about you? So far,
Man,
2021.
it's got to be between Ratchet and Clank and It Takes Two, and I think It Takes Two takes it for me. Because it's just, I mean, the creativity of that co-op gameplay and the imagination of the stuff unfolding before you, and they've implemented so many like little mini gameplay elements that only appear for like one sequence, but it's like there's like the fighting sequence that pops out of nowhere, like little things like that. And
yeah, the designers had their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
Making so many mechanics that are used one time.
Oh my
there's
God.
one level that's basically a Diablo-like action. Action.
Yeah.
Like it's freaking insane. Like, and it all works well enough. And you've got like just really memorable moments. Like, all I'll say is the elephant.
Oh my God, no, let's not, please not.
I was like, what is going on?
When I eventually do a video on that game, it will be about that scene, because that scene is just too much, man.
It's so much.
That plus the ending of 12 minutes, they're the big WTF moments of 2021 for me.
Finish that.
12 minutes is almost every minute of 12 minutes, though. I don't even know if it was just the ending, which I also enjoyed. I really like that game. I enjoyed because I've really enjoyed talking to people about it.
Sure.
And I like you said earlier, Young, with Metal Gear. It's like any game where you walk away and you want to talk to everyone about it. I feel like it gets points for that. Like I'm like, I just want to chat to everybody and get everybody's impressions of this. And even with 12 minutes, I made people who I knew would hate that game play it. It was like
You're a
I
good
made
friend, Alanah. You're a good friend.
Mike Bithell play it, and I was like, you're gonna hate it, and I really want you to play it, and he did, and I was like, great, let's chat about it. This is gonna be awesome. So I feel like it's really fun in that regard, and similar to It Takes Two being super creative, I felt similarly with Psychonauts 2. That I was like, holy shit, you keep changing the video game every 2 minutes, and I'm like, I'll just keep taking it. Like, it's wonderful, though I do feel like It Takes Two is a much more unique experience. And Joseph Fares, he's doing a great job.
He
Honestly,
is a
Fuck the
talent.
Oscars, indeed.
Fuck the Oscars.
All right, Jake, have you decided?
You guys mentioned a lot of them. Psychonauts 2 is up there. It Takes Two is up there. For me, other than that, it's Hitman 3 for obvious reasons. And Chivalry 2. I keep playing. I have no real like professional critical opinion about it. It's literally just like gamer brain going back to it, playing it, and having such good adrenaline rush, instant satisfaction, fun. Like every night I just hop in. Like if I'm downloading something else and I'm waiting, I'll fire up Chivalry 2 and cut like a couple of dudes' heads off in a multiplayer round and just get that
Final
satisfaction.
Fantasy from now on, buddy. Not anymore.
That's it.
We've got a new game for you. Yeah, I haven't played Chivalry 2, but I did also want to mention it just because we haven't spoken about it. I really enjoyed Returnal. I thought Returnal was a really good time. And I'm kind of sad that the conversation seemed to disappear so fast. And I don't know if maybe that's because people found it a little bit too difficult to persist. People moved on from it really quickly, which I found to be a bummer because it was awesome.
It was pretty finite though. Like you're really looking at sort of 10 to 20 hours of play, depending on like how easily you could crack it. And I think that come Game of the Year conversation though, it'll definitely pop back up again because certainly like its design, its combat, its roguelike structure was a little shaky, but I just think it nailed so many things. So I definitely expect
the DualSense.
Yeah.
Like I loved what they did with the controller.
Absolutely.
It was really good.
So I definitely expect it'll be on those lists discussed. I don't think it'll necessarily take this top spot, but I think it's definitely one of those games that you'll hear more about. So yeah.
Yeah. It's been a good year so far, surprisingly, because usually like right after consoles come out, we don't get shit. It's usually really slow, and I guess it has been in terms of like massive blockbuster titles, but it's still been really good. I've had a great time playing video games this year.
Yes.
So I'll take it.
Totally.
What I'm forgetting for upcoming games? Kina. Why did I mention this?
Yeah.
I'm
That was supposed to come out this week.
Yeah.
Is it?
It was supposed to be August 24th and got pushed to September.
It's
Okay,
now
but it's still this
scheduled
year,
for
right?
21st of September.
Yep. They ruined our Game Ranks videos. For 3 months in a row, we did like, top 10 games releasing in this month. And every time we had it on there, the next day they announced like, we're bumping it up. We're moving it. And it's like, come on.
You're like another reason to create another top 10, man. Let's go ad revenue.
Let's keep doing it.
Do it.
Time to rank the games.
I imagine that game's going to cause... Oh, they just had a preload and file size leak? How did that happen, I wonder?
Okay. Interesting.
It's going to take a long time to animate that game, but it's from an animation studio. It looks like whimsical, Ghibli-esque. Like, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm definitely down to play it.
What
What a weird leak to have.
Sorry, Jake. You go.
I was just going to say, isn't it crazy that Resident Evil Village came out 2 years ago?
Ooh.
Shut up. It really did. It really did. We're not even talking about it. And I also
Totally
enjoyed that
Resident Evil
game.
Village. Wow, that is
Fucking
totally
hell.
forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah.
It's also I keep struggling with the thought that we are closer to 2022 than we are to 2020.
That is hard. It's a lot to take in.
I don't know what time is anymore. I try not to think about it.
F in the chat.
It's all bad. Yeah, F's in the chat. It is not whatever the opposite of Pog is. Please.
Lol
I'm too
W,
new to
is
Twitch.
that
I
it?
don't know.
Lol W.
All right, this is super fun. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah,
I'd love to do it again sometime, and I've spoken to you all about that. I feel like it's a good group of people to chat about video games if you're ever down. But for anyone who doesn't know you, Jake, where can people find you on the internet?
Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino. YouTube.com/Jake Baldino is where I just talk about whatever I like and just tank the algorithm as much as possible. And then my day job is Game Ranks. I do the Friday show every week. I've never missed a week in like 7 years.
Wow.
And before you buy videos. So that's me.
Ralph, how about you?
I'm SkillUp. I'm on YouTube, and that's it, really. On Twitter as well, unfortunately. God, I wish I wasn't. And yeah, just doing the whole review thing and weekly news. So check it out, SkillUp on YouTube.
Young, how about you?
I'm on my channel, youtube.com/YongYea. I'm on Twitter at YongYea. And if you want to hire me for voiceover stuff, YongYeaVO.com.
Buttery smooth.
If I was
Awesome.
making a game, I would hire you as a voiceover for sure, Yong, no doubt.
If I had that kind of power, okay, I'd talk to you about it. Sadly, they'd be like, fuck off.
Jan confirmed
I can try.
as the god of war.
Yes, yes. Would you like to play Kratos? I can definitely make that happen.
That works.
Wow, that's pretty good.
That was a
Pretty
thing.
good.
That happened.
There you go.
Boom.
For everyone watching, everyone watching on Twitch, I will put this up on YouTube tomorrow, probably.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to call this video, but we'll figure it out. And yeah, hopefully we'll get this group back together again to have a nice chat sometime. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.